Right, Mark Lamarr is with us this evening, and you're
it's a dolphin. Sorry, carry on.
Bird of prey, and you got your nose buried in a
I've been reading
a tome there.
I've been reading loads of biographies lately, and I just tell some stories from some of them. Like I've read one about Michael Jackson. I didn't know that his dad was in a band, and did you know that his dad used to be in a band in the '60s called the Falcons?
Which is getting birds of prey in there.
I am, yeah, basically, yeah. No, but I have been reading a lot of autobiographies, or biographies as well. And I read one about Iggy Pop's band, or Iggy Pop, and there was a bit about the Stooges just before they split up. And apparently, I didn't know, this is a very odd thing to happen. One of the Stooges was on heroin, and he enlisted so he could go to Vietnam because the heroin was cheaper there. Which I think, like, that's about the time when you've got to say, I have got a problem. You've got to admit it to yourself. But I've been reading this Chuck Berry one, which is, I think, possibly the worst autobiography I've ever read in my life, because he tries to paint a picture of himself as being a very nice, in-control bloke, but then again he tells about all the sort of sex stories and all the prostitutes and all the times he's been unfaithful to his wife and all this sort of thing. And every now and again was that a bird? No, it was a stoat, wasn't it?
No, it was a kangaroo, I think.
Oh, right. Was it?
I don't know.
It's a shame the music hall has died out, isn't it? Because you would have a career as an animal impressionist.
You could do it. You know, on those programs, those David Attenborough programs, and they say, look, and here's two snails making love, and you could be the one going.
And you know,
someone has to do that.
You know those programs where they have tossers on in the middle of the night doing nothing of any interest. You could be on that as well.
We could all do that.
Yeah.
Let's do the show.
We are all doing that, as it is. Yeah.
But for how long?
He keeps in this. But he keeps putting in like weird little phrases. There's one bit where he's in prison, and I think this was for transporting a prostitute.
Back to Chuck Berry. We're not still on Lard here, are we?
I'm not sure.
I thought I didn't remember this one.
Across straight line. There's one thing where he's talking about all the good things that could happen in prison, and he says, "I could learn the functions of a corporation. I could do all sorts of wonderful things, except get some satisfaction, as sung by the Rolling Stones." He's
in showbiz. This is entitled.
Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Why did he put that line in there? But there are a few bits when, all through the book he keeps saying, look, people ask me, you know, how I make such great music, but to me, it's just music, it's no big deal. Why do they pay such attention to us rock and rollers and all this sort of, all this sort of like fake humility? But then there's other bits with, like, he keeps quoting other people as saying these most amazing things about him. And there's most of the book actually isn't about music, most of it's about women that he fancied and never got off with because they tended to turn out to be lesbians most of the time. That and gigs that he wasn't paid for in 1942 and stuff. So there's very little about actual recording sessions. There's a lot of failed trysts with lesbians in the book. But there's this one bit here that he goes on about this millionaire's wife who he had a bit of a fling with. And every time he talks about sex, he always does it in a very odd way. He always says things like, the garden of opportunity that was opened before me was beheld by my longing eyes and stuff. He never sort of says,
as sung by Gentle Giant.
It says, this one, when he's trying to get it together with this millionaire's wife, says, provoked was I under those surroundings to approach her.
This is Shakespeare.
Yeah, this is
provoked was I, forsooth and verily.
No. Provoked was I with great expense to my courage. I secured positive response, and with I secured ample breath and told her I couldn't believe that she wanted me as it appeared. She replied, and as if anyone would ever say this to anyone at the point of a good nobbing,
get on with it.
She replied, greater admiration could no one have for someone who feels they are not worthy of it. This was her.
I say that all the time to you, Marcus.
This is one of my favourite ones. This is woman working for him.
Asleep.
The book was written in 1987, and this incident apparently happened in 1964. Right. There's a woman called Francine that worked for him for many, many years, and he said they just done this gig in Paris, and they were strolling along the left bank when she turned to him and said, Charles, we should have some music for this.
Yeah, we'll have a bit of chuck under this.
Because this is apparently, he remembers this word for word. 23 years later on, she said, Charles, you seem like a rocket to me. You have soared off so high and shining so bright in a heaven that I can only dream of what it would be like to try and follow you, while I am like a candle merely flickering in the window of admiration that I see you from. Your brilliance has become so bright that I wonder if my flicker will still be seen upon your return, if you should. But I will be there if you should need me. You soar where many people see you and cheer you on your journey, yet you return to my window where I flicker in the shadows of your career. How, through the glare and brilliance that surrounds your life, can you see my twinkling light among all the bright stars around you? She continues, it is my thought, Charles, seeing you among the many bright stars that surround you, that someday you will go away way as you deserve and join another star as brilliant as yourself. My little flame shall remain awaiting and hoping that if it should ever be seen again in your moments of tranquility, you would know I was still there where you had to leave me behind. Apparently, they are having a little moment.
You said, never mind that, get your pants on.
Yeah. So that's just some. I'll do some of the sex bits later on.
What I love about that is you say, I don't know why people pay such attention to us rock and rollers, says Chuck Berry on page 765 of his third autobiography. Right, Mark Lard, should we have a bit of Chuck Berry? Do you think we should have a bit of Chuck Berry?
If you want.
Yeah, do you want a bit of Chuck Berry?
Ooh.
Bit of Chuck Berry and Liverpool Drive. There's one more bit you want to regale us with.
Yeah, not from that particular bit, but there's one chapter when he just talks about his favourite things. He just does this whole very dull chapter of his favourite things. And this bit reminds me of, you ever see the Food and Drink Show? And it's legendarily how mad that woman, the wine tasting woman on that, Julie Goulden is.
Right.
You know, the woman, and I saw it, I think it was last night, and she said, I quote, she smelled this one and she said, it smells like old gumboots drying by an Aga. You know that smell?
No,
I wouldn't want to drink wine like that. Anyway, but this particular paragraph is entitled Aroma. These are some of Chuck's favourite aromas. And there'll be a point when you say, hold on, can you read that to me again? And I won't tell you what it is, but you'll know what it is. Aroma, the scent of burning oat leaves in October in Missouri.
Hold on, oh no, sorry.
No, you will know. You need to. It's the rule of three in comedy. You need to know two, so you know which one's the weird one.
Okay,
you know, but there's plenty of them. A Chinese restaurant while waiting in line for a table. A passing pipe smoker using rum and maple tobacco. The uncontaminated breasts of a female companion.
Hold on!
This is one of his favourite smells. The uncontaminated breasts of a female companion. Now, when have you ever smelled contaminated breasts? Where do they come from? Oh, they're off. Get them away from me.
Pasteurised.
You left them out, haven't you?
If you've been where Chuck's been. Right, okay. Mark Lard is with us and he's been reading the story of Chuck Berry according to Chuck, and it's exhilarating stuff, isn't it?
I'm going to get onto the sort of the sexual aspect. The two most important things in Chuck's life aren't music, they're sex and money, basically, and that's basically what the whole book's about. But every now and again he uses these very strange metaphors that he probably thinks this would be very apt. There's one bit where Loretta Lynn came up and gave him a peck on the cheek, and he says, Loretta will never know the software of that kiss or the double density of the program that it's stored in the document of my main memory. As sung by Stereolab, it says, for some reason, which is very. Let me try and find some other good. But there's one bit when I think this is the woman he married. He met her at a dance, and he says she continued such gestures, bringing sounds in response to the anointment she was luring from my loins. And he just, what? Exactly. And she had contaminated breasts as well. This is a quite an odd one, where he's talking about, I think he just signed some big deal with Chess Records, and the boss of Chess, Leonard Chess, has hired a prostitute for the evening for Chuck. So he walks into his bedroom, and here's this woman, and this is the paragraph. I thought she was too pretty to be a hooker, but wondered why she was offering herself just to please another person. Well, that's what hookers do, basically. A conversation followed regarding photos. And it's funny how Chuck got straight onto the old photos rather than, and I was granted the freedom to take several Buffy snapshots while she lay back on the bed with closed eyes, puckered lips, cocked head, and resisting not. This now and again he goes into this sort of flowery little rock and roll language. He says,
yes, please.
She obtained my attention in the latter dimension, and knee dimension subdued my suspense with long pauses of vigorous movements between murmurs of passion followed by fatigue and slumber. The undrawn window drapes let the dawning over Lake Michigan enter my memory of an unforgettable experience.
That's basically, he had a good shag. That's for sure. This autobiography, who wrote him?
I don't know. It was written in 1987, and this is an incident from 1973, and this just comes out of nowhere. This isn't. He doesn't go on about it for the rest of the book. It's just something that really must have annoyed him 14 years before he wrote the book, and it's about money. And he just done a big tour, Britain, 22-date tour, finishing up at the Rainbow Theatre. So big gigs, you know. He's earning big money from it. And the start of this chapter, he says, what I wanted to do in this particular year of my life was spend some of the money that I'd earned, and I just thought that'd be a nice thing to do. So this is the story. In Manchester, the promoter, MC and stagehands with their ladies followed us back to the hotel talking about the show. What was irregular about that night was that it was the third night in a row I picked up spontaneous group dinner tabs. So, so he's annoyed about this. 14 years afterwards, he'd bought some meals after the biggest tour of Britain he's ever done. So I led off by ordering a short order of Hungarian goulash and hot tea, asking the waiter if it was quick and short, hoping the question would start an ordering trend. So he's ordering cheap stuff, hoping everyone else would order cheap stuff. The very next order was that of the chauffeur assigned to the limo so he's in a limo, right? He's in a limo, he's got a few quid. The chauffeur that carried my party around, who up to 2 nights prior customarily waited in the car. Like the previous 2 nights, he came in and this time had the audacity to order a New York sirloin steak plus dessert.
Oh, no.
And he was the only one to accept the bottle of wine a waiter suggested to the group. I sat boiling in temper. My goulash did not come until after the chauffeur's steak had been served to him, which added to the flame. And this is something that 14 years after Chuck thinks, my fans would want to know this story.
Yeah.
Don't bear a grudge.
And you can imagine Chuck, of course, not saying anything, can he? He would just sit there in temper, because obviously,
I suppose a writer would probably think, well, it's cost me some money, but I've got a story out of it, so it's been worthwhile. But Chuck's just like, I'm going to find that man who had dessert!
All right, so Aylesbury, mention of Michael Bolton in there, of course, one of the cherished artists on this programme. And
well, I had the great pleasure of standing behind Jo Brand when she presented Top of the Pops. So I didn't mean that as a job. I mean, that was my job on the show. And this weird incident happened. That we went out to the bar, which is like there's a little walkway which is just about 5 or 10 feet from one building to another, and there was drizzle that you'd hardly notice, just a little sort of mist of rain, hardly any at all. So as we're walking towards the front door, Michael Bolton was just behind me. I walked out the door, and there was an American man in front of me running over, and it was like, well, those scenes when there's a baby just about to crawl in front of a car and someone dies in front, and this bloke was running, he went, Michael, no! And ran in front of Michael Bolton, pushed him back, and he went, I'll get you an umbrella! And it was just really weird. Michael Bolton can't know what weather's like anymore. He just never experiences any weather because this bloke is this sort of like, hair controller or something.
I know, it would be a real shame if Michael Bolton, God forbid, traffic control, very good, Jim, yeah. It'd be dreadful, wouldn't it, if he appeared on telly with his hair looking crap, Michael Bolton.
Unthinkable.
Absolutely dreadful.
Unthinkable.
Right, that's more of the tips tonight. Thanks to Mark Lamarr, who's gone.
All right, mate.
And no thanks to you for that dreadful impression. On next week's programme, Monday, Manson in session, Simon Armitage. Tuesday, we'll have Stuart McConey with us. On Wednesday, Mark Kerbode's Cult Film Corner. On Thursday, Summit or Other, but now it's in the bag as yet, I understand. Right, thanks to the team who worked on the programme this week. That's Liz, Pat, Phil Newboy, Lardy Boy. I was just going to say that. I was just going to say, honestly, sometimes you really hack me off, Lardy Boy.
You've not said thanks to me yet for tonight. That's all right. I've worked all week. Say thanks to me for tonight, then.
Also to Maggie, Steve the Diver, Genial Joe and Uncle Toe. And that's it for another week.
Say thanks to me.
That is the complete list.
Come on, you tosser.
Mark Radcliffe, missing you already.